lot of people interested in learning Korean. Well, sounds good. Well, welcome everybody to In the Newsroom. I'm Sean Lim and I'm covering for UGA, who's off in London covering the 2012 Olympics. But before we get into what happened in the newsroom this week, we're going to go look at the top headlines with Hwang Sung-yi. Hi, Sung-yi.
Hi, Sean. For this week's headlines, I'll begin in the political front. Both major parties here in Korea kept themselves busy with putting their houses in order ahead of the December presidential election. The 5 contenders in the ruling Saenuri Party's nomination race announced their election pledges, and all the nominees for the Democratic United Party's race are set. The Korean government laid out specific plans to boost consumption in the economy that has been contracting mainly due to the global financial crisis. This includes easing taxes in the housing and leisure sectors. And President Lee Myung-bak offered an unscheduled apology this week over corruption scandals involving his close aides and elder brother. But he says the events won't distract him from his duties as he finishes out his 5-year term. With growing fears that Spain will become the next European country in need of a full international bailout, the country's market regulator has blocked all short selling of its shares. This comes as markets fell sharply earlier this week over concerns of Spain's economic troubles. One of 4 South Korean human rights activists who had been seized by China for nearly 4 months spoke publicly for the first time after his release last week. During a press conference, Kim Yeon-Ji said he thinks North Korea may have been involved in his arrest. The 30th Summer Olympic Games began for a 17-day run in London. Around 15,000 athletes from over 200 countries will be competing for the gold. Well, that's all from me for now. I'll be back with more headlines next week. Back to you, Sean.
So hey guys, good to
Hello,
be
Sean.
here. I'm sure you guys all know that Jie is over in London covering the Olympics, so I decided to drop by in the newsroom to see what you guys were up to this week.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Well, certainly we had a lot of heat this week, and of course that was a topic for the news with all the heat wave advisories and some actual deaths that occurred in conjunction with the heat. But you guys also had to really battle it out there when you went out on your stories and just trying to cover the news. How was that?
It was pretty difficult. Yeah. I was out Wednesday. It was just so hot, and my face, I was very worried about how I looked, like before, doing my stand-up.
Right. And Ji-sun, you were just in the studio, right? Or you actually went out as well?
This week I am in the studio covering the Olympics on the stories, but yesterday I actually went out to Hangang, and it was really hot well late into the night, and what we call a tropical night, and the mercury stage is around 30 years, even like at 9 p.m.
Right, exactly. So these are all the sacrifices I guess we all make to bring the news. But yeah, speaking of the Olympics, Ji-sun, you covered a story this week about some of the medals that were expected to win for Team Korea. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Team Korea is actually shooting for at least 10 gold medals, and it seems that we will have a good shot at it. Today, on Saturday, Shin Jung, a returning champion for the 10-meter air pistol, will yet again return to defend his title. And we also have the men's group archeries, which is shooting for maybe like 4th consecutive medal at that event as well.
So the men's group archery, the women's archery did quite well in the past, right? And that team is also expected to win?
Mm-hmm. The women's archery, they're looking for an 8th consecutive medal at the games. And they've always secured the gold medal at the team's event, and this time they're all actually shooting for the individuals as well.
Right. Well, this heat, I really wish I could just jump into like a swimming pool. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the swimming event. And I think it was earlier this week or last week where Park Tae-won's coach said that he had a really good chance of winning a medal.
Exactly. And his first event is actually the 400-meter freestyle, of which he garnered gold back in Beijing. And it's the strongest event. He's also participating in the 1500 as well, but he's starting off with his best event. So we think he will have a great shot on the event on Sunday, Korea time. And although some foreign press point to Sun Yang of China, who has the world record, Park Tae-won has been really good this season, garnering all golds at the recent event in California.
Well, what sports are you guys looking forward to, just as spectators?
Archery, for me.
Who's your favorite
it just
players?
makes me very proud whenever I look at archery games. It's just like, oh, we are the descendants of Goguryeo kingdom. Like, we are very good at like archery skills. So, yeah.
Who's your favorite player, guys?
I guess I'll look more into wrestling because I used to wrestle. So I think wrestling will be a sport I'll be keeping an eye on for the Olympics.
And you, Myung-Kil?
I'll be looking forward to swimming since the hot summer, so yeah.
Yeah, exciting times.
Right. Wow. Well, certainly a lot of people flying in and out of London. And Myung-Kil, this week you also did a story about airlines and how the airline market in Korea is changing a bit to incorporate more of the low-cost carriers.
Yeah, that is true. This week I did the report on the low-cost carrier airline industry.
With the economy in a downturn worldwide, budget airlines are dominating the skies these days, and the competition for customers is fierce. The profits of Korea's 5 budget airlines increased from $8 million in 2006 to $220 million in the first half of this year. Korean budget carriers, which once flew almost exclusively to popular spots in China and Japan, have also begun to add flights to tourist spots in Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, foreign budget airlines are looking to capitalize on the popularity of the Korean market, and foreign carriers such as China's Spring Airlines, Australia's Jetstar, Singapore's Scoot, and AirAsia Japan all have plans to enter Korea.
Well, a big part of your story was the difference between our Korean low-cost carriers and the foreign low-cost carriers that are coming in. You're saying that the Korean low-cost carriers are focusing more on service, even though their prices might be slightly above the foreign low-cost carriers. Have you guys flown on any of these airlines to make a comparison?
I've flown on, what's the name? Jin Air.
Okay.
Jin Air? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Jin Air.
that's the low cost affiliate of Korean Air. Yeah.
That's right. So the service was actually very good. I mean,
could you tell the difference? Sometimes you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah, we did have to walk like farther down, to the exit, But, we flew safe and,
Right.
I didn't feel really that it was, not better than other major carriers' service. So.
Right.
So it seems like the Koreans, they have a trend. I mean, like the foreign low cost carriers, I mean, they provide the lowest fares, but the service you have to pay for extra. But Koreans like sort of want more comfort and service with basic amenities given to them. So the current LCCs have really well adapted to the Korean consumers' taste, and we'll have to see since the first Japan's P-chair, the LCC, they started in flights to Seoul starting in last May. So we'll have to look and see which Korean consumers which ones they would prefer actually to take for going abroad or going domestically. So.
And you've covered the airline industry for quite a while now, and you're becoming our aviation expert, and you've always wanted to do a stand-up right on the tarmac, and you finally got the chance on this story, right?
Yeah, I finally got my chance. I had to go through a lot of hassle actually to get onto that tarmac. I mean, it just seems so easy. If you just ride airplanes as a passenger, they'll just carry you by the shuttle and then to the airplane. But this is something which goes on air and abroad. So that's why they had security concerns and plenty of other reasons. But finally I was able to get it. So I think I did my part in it. So I'm happy for that.
Well, how'd you convince them?
Well, for the Incheon one, they wouldn't actually allow me. But this time for the Gimpo, I sort of it was interesting because they actually told me that I was the first one to actually get on the tarmac as a Korean media tarmac and do a stand-up there. But
Ooh, what an honor.
so last week I had to make a lot of documents to give to international airport and just to get that stand-up. But
Okay. So another very big issue heating up, of course, is the presidential election. And Yeon-Ji, you covered that for us on Monday with our News in Depth. But since Monday, there's been a lot that has happened. What's been going on with the presidential election?
Okay, so let me tell you about what I covered on Monday with the in-depth. So there were some early polls out. As you know, the ruling Centrist Party and the Democratic United Party, they are on the race. Their primaries to pick the one sole candidate to represent their parties. And, it's so easy to anticipate who's going to win their primaries. As you know, for the ruling Central Party, it's Park Geun-hye, political heavyweight Park Geun-hye. And then for the DUP, it's Moon Jae-in, who served as former chief of staff for President Roh Moo-hyun. So, it's not going to be, as exciting as other primaries in the past, but
The
one
wild
person,
card.
yes, the wild card that they have from the opposition camp is An Chol-soo.
A poll conducted by Research and Research in mid-July shows when taking into account all presidential hopefuls, An Chol-soo comes in second at 18%, following Park Geun-hye at 38%. Democratic United Party frontrunner Moon Jae-in is ranked third with 15%. But a hypothetical two-way race between Park and An is a very tight one. The survey shows Park leading the race by just 5 percentage points. This difference falls within the study's margin of error, according to experts.
So I think An Chol-soo is going to face Park Geun-hye. He recently published a book laying out his vision for a new Korea. And, actually that was out on Monday, the day that I did my in-depth. But so before he published his book, he was second in terms of, public support, after Park Geun-hye. But then after his book was out, the rate just went up, like huge.
Right, his approval rating shot up, I think,
Right,
by
so I
4
think he
points.
stands first. He ranks first in terms of public support. And so the Democratic United Party is looking to, combine their support bases because they want to make sure that somebody from the liberal camp becomes a president this year. They don't want to do anything to do with the ruling party anymore. So,
But
yeah.
of course, we don't know whether he's running yet, and that
Exactly,
still presents
but
a bit of an issue.
the thing about his book, which was sold out the first day,
Yeah, it was
and even the
number
second
one,
day,
yeah.
yes, that's being read as a sign that he's going to eventually join in the race.
Right.
But he says, in his own words, he wants to be proven by the people. Like he wants to make sure that this is what the people want, and that he wants to be tested by the people whether he's right to run for president for this country or not. So we will have to wait and see.
Right, certainly taking his time. But were you able to take a look at his book or see some of the content? I mean, in terms of reviews, it's been received quite well by the public, and especially in terms of sales. But what does he kind of outline in his book?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a chance to actually read the book myself, but it's just amazing. He seems to just topple all the records, all the previous records. It used to be that Steve Jobs, the book about Steve Jobs, was the first in sales. But then he just toppled that record, An Chol-soo. So now that's like one of the books most read by the Koreans, and also the ruling party and the main opposition party. They've gotten hold of this book, and they are saying no, he's not a politician, and somebody who's good at politics should be the next president of Korea. That's their argument. So even the Democratic United Party candidates say An Chol-soo should not be Korea's next president. If he becomes the president, then the country will be ruined. So,
Well, politics, very heady stuff. So let's move on to a bit of sports. Hyun-bin, you went over to one of our precious islands to go visit a triathlon, right?
Actually, it's two. They held the triathlon in Ulleungdo Island. Then they went, after the triathlon, they went over to Dokdo Island to do a short swim around the islet over there. But
What impressed you about this version of a triathlon?
they held this event to show that Dokdo is part of Korea, and
So it was an international competition, right?
it was international. About 200 people participated in the event, but there was about a little over 20 foreigners that came in. But actually, one of the foreigners placed. I think he came in first for people in their 20s. So, yeah.
it might have been a great opportunity to tell those foreigners that Dokdo is indeed Korean territory.
Oh, I mean, the participants
Yeah.
know. So after the race, they were all yelling out, 독도는 우리 땅, they're saying like Dokdo is our land, stuff like that. So it was a good sight to see, I think.
Yeah, and there are a lot of other athletic events that takes place on Dokdo. And last time I went to a yacht race that actually goes around Ulleungdo and Dokdo, just like the triathlon. And remember, Myung-Kil, when you cover the airline industry, when the Korean Air first launched its A380, the aircraft actually flew over Dokdo, in a sign of addressing Dokdo islets or of Korean sovereignty.
All right, well, you guys certainly had a very intense week and you battled the heat. You went and covered some amazing stories. So I just feel very grateful to have spent this time with you.
Well, thank you for coming, Sean.
There's still hope for some revival of talks this week, including a third nuclear test by North Korea, king for the good of the nation for the remainder of his term. Hi, I'm Choi You-sun. I'm one of the news reporters at Arirang TV. Okay, follow me. I'm part of the press corps here at the Foreign Ministry as well as Unification Ministry, the next door. So usually on weekdays, instead of going to Arirang Tower, I usually come out here for briefings and updating stories and covering international news stories and security-related issues. This is my seat. Not that many reporters here today, but this is where I usually sit and write stories, update stories. I talk to people in the office. This is where I usually spend most of my day. When I first come in the morning, I usually come sit at my desk, turn on the computer. Actually, even before I come in, on my way here, I usually check for the latest stories related to North Korea and other foreign issues on my smartphone. Sunny, hi.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I'm looking at the stories I may cover in Turkey.
I think with Arirang TV, most of the people here, they sort of see us, categorize us in a different category. And so I don't feel that much of a competition compared to other reporters, but I just always try to make sure that I don't miss out on any stories that other local media cover.
Our primetime news anchor, Yoo Ji-hye, she's currently in London covering the Olympics. And so our presidential office correspondent, Jin-ju, is filling in for her. And I'm also filling in for Jin-ju this week and for the next 2 weeks. Now I'm going to be heading over to the Unification Ministry. They're here at the government complex. There are a set of two buildings. One that we were just at, which is the Foreign Ministry, and now I'm heading over to the next door. When there's something going on at both ministries, then I sometimes have to ask other reporters to cover for me. So I mean, I appreciate it, but it would be nice to have someone else, having another reporter, a colleague come out to work together and to sort of arrange how we're gonna cover stories each day. Last week, a group of South Korean human rights activists was released by Chinese authorities after about over 100 days of detainment. And Kim Yeon-Ji, who led the group, he's holding a press conference here in Seoul today. I think it's really helpful most of the time covering both ministries because there are twice as many officials that I come into contact with and more different routes where I can access information, although it may be limited. I pretty much typed the entire press conference on my laptop, so I'm gonna go over what I typed and select the best sound bites that I want to use for my report. Currently, our camera reporter is editing the video, and so I'm gonna be heading down in about an hour. So once I'm done with my article, have it edited, dubbed, and we'll be working on the final product for possibly our 18 newscast. If a story breaks out and I'm able to report on it right away, that's really exciting because I'm one of the first people to find out about it, and so I can actually deliver it to the public. All I can say right now is that I'll do my best at the work that's given to me and try to have fun while I'm doing it. Choi You-sun, Arirang News.
So the Olympics have officially started, and we have our own Ji in London covering the event, and we're going to connect with her now. So Ji, hi, how is the environment there right now?
Well, hello, Sean. I'm standing in front of London's iconic Tower Bridge, adorned with Olympic rings. Of course, it's installed there to excite and inspire people from not only from here, but from around the world. And as you can imagine, an air of excitement is certainly building up here around the city. And of course, the people that I've been talking to in the streets say they're very excited to see what London has been preparing for over 7 years, and also proud that London is playing host to one of the largest sporting events in the world. Also, there are voices of concern as to how they're going to tackle the transportation problems and crowd control, heightened security, and of course London's unexpected weather. But the overall consensus is they're very confident that they'll be able to host a successful games, and perhaps once the games begin, the pre-game jitters and Olympo skepticism somehow will diminish.
So how are the athletes doing?
Right, I had a chance to visit Brunel University, which is about an hour and a half drive from central London, and it's the temporary home for our Korean athletes. And I was very pleased to see that many of them felt as if they're at home. Most of them have overcame their jet lags, and one noteworthy thing is that the KOC, for the very first time, invited special nutritionists who can ensure, dietary health and well-being for the athletes there. And also, accommodation-wise, it seemed very light and airy. It was a dormitory-style accommodation, which everyone was very happy about. And they felt like they could fully concentrate on the last-minute preparation for one of the most fiercest competitions. Nevertheless, the pressure is mounting for our athletes. They're practicing day and night, at least 6 hours per day. But they say they're ready and they're very confident, and they'll be showing the world what they got in the games.
So for Team Korea fans, what day can we absolutely not miss?
Well, I'd say the 28th, Saturday here, our Korean athletes will be competing in some of their strongest events, including judo, fencing, swimming, archery, and shooting. It's the very day that many expect to see our Korean athletes standing proudly at top podiums with medals around their necks. Well,
all right, thanks, Ji. We look forward to seeing you back here in the studio.
Thank you.
Let's towel off a bit. Just
We're fine.
You okay? Oh my God, it's so hot.
Well, so overall, but nevertheless, it seems that the athletes are feeling.
Headlines, I'll begin in the political front. 다시 해야지.